Hi everyone, welcome to the Movie Substance Show. My name is Mariva, and on this very, very early morning, we're about to watch episode 2 of Secret Invasion. I cannot wait to see it, but before we get right down into the next episode, I think it's worth recapping a little bit from what we saw from the first episode last week, just because it definitely was a very solid episode. I think it's worth talking about it. A lot of people have been pretty unanimous about their opinions or about their reaction to the first episode. That's been pretty solid. It had a very solid story. It had a very good way of pacing what is going on, setting up the tone, setting up the ambience, giving us the characters, letting us know where they are, introducing new characters like Gravik. And yeah, now here it is. Like, we've now come to episode 2, of course, and it's building up from what we saw last episode. I mean, of course, I think the big thing that a lot of people are still trying to get into their minds and trying to understand and comprehend is the fact that, Maria Hill basically died in the end of the first episode, which I don't think any of us would have expected. And we still have 5 more episodes to go through. But yeah, I think that, it was definitely a very solid episode, without a doubt. I think, as I said before, it's a very good start for a show that, a lot of us, we're not sure where it was going to, how it was going to pace, how it's going to move forward, what the direction was going to look like. Especially for the fact that it is based, it follows through the perspective of a character that has mostly been sidelined, has been a supporting character this whole time. Someone who's been kind of overwatching the Avengers, but never kind of being actually involved in the actual action of it all until, of course, recently. And yeah, we've seen him in action before, but this is where he is now taking the lead, the lead, And so it's very interesting to see how his story is going to progress now, knowing that not only is he back on Earth dealing with this crisis that he's dealing with the Skrulls, but he's now lost another major person who has been involved in his life. Remember, he's lost Phil Coulson, he's lost Natasha, and now he's lost Maria Hill. So this is a big hit for him, knowing that he's lost all the closest people around him, probably the people he trusts the most, although we can probably argue about the Natasha thing because of Winter Soldier, but we're not going to go too deep into that. But at least with Maria Hill, we knew for a fact that he always considered her as his number 2. And now he's lost someone that's been deeply close to him, someone who he has been relying on for a long time, especially since Phil Coulson. And now to lose a buddy, in a sense, right? To lose someone that close to him because of this simple mistake right here. When you think about it, the whole scheme that happened at the end of episode 1 is something that they should have been aware of, something that they should have caught, something that they should have been a bit more prepared for. And yet it all happened and we got this shocking ending. I think a lot of us are still wondering if there's a chance for Maria Hill to ever come back. If there is a chance for it, it's probably going to be through flashback scenes. I think that's my best bet at this point. Although there are some theories out there could be Tahiti, because that was used for Phil in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., of course. Or whatever tech that, I don't know. Because remember, we also saw, Nick Fury managed to survive his wounds. That was pretty near fatal wounds in Winter Soldier, so maybe something with that. But as of this point, I think what has been said so far, especially from Colby Smolder, who has been speaking about the matter with the ending, has said that, this is basically it. Although, again, there's been a lot of rumors saying that, she may come back, that she might appear in an upcoming MCU project. I can't remember which one it was, but there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of speculations for sure. A lot of people are still in disbelief right now that, Maria Hill is dead. I don't think a lot of people still do not think that she's dead. So we'll see how this series goes, how it moves forward. We know for a fact that with her death, that's going to become a trigger for Nick moving forward, knowing that, someone this close to him dying under his watch, of course, that is going to deeply impact him. So we'll see how he's going to move forward from that point on. I think the only person he can actually trust is Thalos, which even in that sense, it's a bit questionable just because he is a Skrull, but also he's not, a Skrull who has gone radical. He's someone who's definitely a bit more of a, I guess you can say, a centrist. I mean, I think at this point he's more of a centrist, but we'll see how it all goes, right? But I think so far, having seen from the first 15 minutes that we've seen so far of the show, it's been very promising. I look forward to continuing off this series. It still baffles me a little bit knowing that, you know, before even starting the show, there was some pretty, you know, harsh criticism about this series. I mean, it wasn't too harsh, but to the point where, you know, again, it had a 66% Rotten Tomatoes score. So I wonder how it's going to move forward from there. Maybe the critics were being way too harsh, or, you know, maybe we as audiences just prefer this type of, you know, series. Maybe this is what we actually want. Again, showing that divide between critics and audience. But I mean, so far I've been invested. I think it seems very interesting. I want to continue the series off from episodes 1 to episode 6. And yeah, I think, I can't wait to see what happens next and what Nick Fury will do in terms of handling Gravik. So yeah, I think I basically tackled everything I need to say. So without further ado, let's get right down into Secret Invasion episode 2. 1997. Ooh, that was when I was born. Brixton, London. Okay.
Laura.
Oh, they de-aged him again. Oh, shit.
Thank you, Fury.
Oh.
I'd like you to meet someone. This is Gravik.
Gravik?
Oh, he's met him before. That changes everything. Oh, wow.
His parents were killed in the last stand against the Kree. He escaped from...
This man, I trust. You know I don't use that word lightly.
Facing a serious threat, and I could use your help.
Yeah, he's noticed
It
that
would mean
15 years before.
putting on a new face.
Чернокожий, американец. В поезде
Probably
Москва-Варшава.
Thalos.
Здесь больше шансов встретить инопланетянина.
Well, definitely Thalos.
Madam.
You brought fried chicken, white bread, deviled eggs, pound cake, and a shoebox.
Sounds good, though.
Half hour after the train pulled out, that chicken be gone. Smell way too good to wait. On these long rides. One time she said, "Tell me something I don't know about you and Susie." Me and Susie had a standing game of doctor. We've been playing behind old man Jackson's barn. Suffice it to say, bullfrog with polka dots. My mama just smiled, even though I'd lied through my teeth. The name of the game is tell me something I don't know.
Ho, 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 ho.
We were overpowered by the Kree. We held them off. All of us.
Wait. You're telling me there's 1 million Skrulls walking amongst us right now?
Apparently.
You lost your reptilian ass mind?
I sent out the call. And every Skrull...
Hey, we were being hunted across the universe. I had 2 choices. I could let my people be annihilated or summon them here to Earth. What would you have done?
This ain't about me.
Oh, right, but you find using us as your spies and your errand boys, as long as it's on your terms.
The host gets to set the terms of the visitation.
What happens when the host disappears? Huh? Because you were gone. And I didn't think you were coming back. I really didn't. And you know what? Even when you did come back, there was no talking to you about anything real. Your boots barely...
To know that, we've been in war with each other since we could walk upright. There is not enough room or tolerance on this planet for another species. Matter of fact, neither is this train compartment. I think this is your stop.
Oh, is that Maria? Oh, no. Is that Maria?
I'm sorry I couldn't protect her, Elizabeth.
You're Nick Fury. Maria believed in you. She would have followed you to the gates of hell and back. Look,
That's true.
I don't know.
Moscow. Well, I call bull on that. There's
Isn't that
no
guy a
way
Skrull?
that Moscow attack was committed by Americans. This has got
Members of the council.
Seems someone didn't get the suggested retirement.
Well, I also didn't get a formal invitation, Mr. Secretary General. But I'm sure that was just a curious oversight.
Oh,
Madam Prime Minister.
Sit.
so yeah, he's a Skrull. Pretty sure, right? He's a Skrull. Pretty sure
I
they're all
see you.
Skrulls.
All dressed up in the man's finery. Drinking the man's wine. I quite like dogs. In fact, I prefer them. Dogs aren't hypocrites. And they don't lie. They don't lock each other up in cages.
Oh, this is
They don't
personal.
Poison. And they don't go out of their way to degrade and destroy their own habitat.
A naive reading of human history.
Let me assure you, we're only hastening the inevitable.
And what happens if the Avengers return?
You don't think I
Oh.
thought about that? Put your faith in me. I promise. Well, Madam Prime Minister.
Looks like the Avengers are still a thing.
Face value. However, I will be more than happy to have them analyzed at our facilities at Langley.
How do you explain Mr. Fury's presence in Moscow?
Alleged presence, madam.
Legend.
Okay. Now, while we are sensitive to your concerns, until such time as you can present an actual shred of evidence to back those concerns up, I'm afraid sensitivity is all you're going to be getting from us. Right?
Sweet. Smooth.
For government salary.
Yeah, well, my other suit's made of titanium, so this actually constitutes
Titanium.
considerable savings.
We need to meet ASAP.
Great. And you not only set the stage for World War III, but you simultaneously flipped all of our allies to Team Russia.
How well do you know your security detail?
I know they're catching.
9 state actors, global reach, borderless operations.
Hydra.
Yeah, if Hydra was a bunch of green guys who could shapeshift
Oh,
into
boy.
your daddy.
Hydra.
Yeah, if Hydra was a bunch of green guys who could shapeshift into your
Haven't
daddy.
heard that name in a while. Wait, isn't that a reference from the comics? Maybe? I don't know. That sounds so familiar from the comics for some reason.
So how long have you known about it? That invasion is real. It's happening.
That's
Secret invasion.
that's not possible.
Scroll
That's what I
invasion.
thought
Basically,
too. It's
comics.
true.
Makes so much
And
sense.
here's the crazy part. We're being invaded and we can't even tell who the invaders are. Moscow was just the beginning.
Maybe we should call our friends.
No. We can't jump
Friends
the
are
gun on
talking
that.
about
We get
Avengers?
them in a fight with
Avengers?
the Skrulls, and next
Avengers?
thing you know, they find
Avengers.
themselves duplicated
Avengers.
and turned into terrorists.
Fury.
No.
I'm here as an envoy of the United States government, Fury. The job is political.
I remember when your job was protecting the planet.
We protect the planet by protecting our seat at the table.
Were you forgetting who helped you get your seat at the table?
Oh, so I
Oh,
owe you now?
dang.
Is that it?
We
Oh,
owe
dang.
each other. Men who look like us don't get promoted because of who our daddies know. Every ounce of power we wrestle from the vice grip of the
Mm.
mediocre Alexander
Mhm.
Pierces who run this world was earned in blood. So let's make the power mean something.
Haven't heard
Help
Alexander
her
Pierce in a
out.
long time too.
Calls outside. Means something by helping a brother out. But you should know better than most. The reason we wrestled this power from mediocre men who don't look like us was not simply to turn around and hand it to mediocre men who do. The point of this power is to be uncompromising, to be unsparing, to be able to sit across from a man we greatly admire, with whom we share an entire professional, personal ancestral history with, and to tell him without any reservation that he's fired. That's what this moment right here, right now is about me.
Dang. Wow. Okay. He's offended. Fury's offended.
Is it? I'm Nick Fury. Even when I'm out,
I'm in. I had a feeling. I had a feeling.
Yes, and now that the door is unlocked, what does that tell you about me indoors?
Who are you?
I'm above your pay.
I've thrown everything at him and he hasn't said a word. What makes you think you can get him to speak?
Oh, I can be quite persuasive. Oh, before I forget, where is the escape hatch in this dump?
Why do you need to know that?
Oh, just a hunch. Oh, wonderful. Okay. Make yourself scarce. Alone at last. Now, shall we do this the easy way or the other way?
I'm gonna break these chains, and then I'm gonna break every bone in your body.
The other
Cocky. Oh, God.
Well, now that's confirmed. Let's party, shall we?
Groot? Did I see Groot? Groot?
What are you doing in there?
Oh, but what?
Checking the
These are all
progress of our newest recruit.
references.
He'll be ready for a face before long.
I want
He's
to know
loyal.
why they have Groot.
Loyal.
Why do they have Groot? Why do they have Groot?
You know, I remember when you first came to me, Gaia.
Принеси мне колбасы, давай, иди! Быстрее!
Well, they're pretty horrible at keeping guard. Oh, shit. Well, this is definitely not kid-friendly. Jeez.
Sounds like your lift is here.
Oh, smart.
Listen,
She
I'm
knew.
just gonna go and
She
check
knew.
my bag.
She knew. That's at least smart.
No. You stay here. They might come out with Brady.
Dang! It's way bloodier than I thought the shooter was gonna be. Weird. Weird.
Right, Dostoevsky.
Dostoevsky. Oh.
I got him. Let's go.
They're gonna shoot him and kill him.
What'd you tell her?
Nothing, just lies.
Nothing. Just lies.
That's all, I swear.
He doesn't believe him, does he? He's gonna kill him.
Keep driving.
How did they find our safe house?
Well, he's dead meat now. He's dead meat. They're gonna make him rot like a corpse. They're gonna make him rot. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Did we make it home, Peyton? Almost there, bro.
Oh, are they brothers? Like, oh, that is cruel. And he's suspecting her, so that Hold up, wait a minute. How does he have keys to the house? Is Phoebe married? Married to a scroll? He has to show that he's human? Fury's married? This is going to blow Tony's mind if he was still alive. What?
Almost.
He's married to a scroll? Thing is that he's married. Alright, so that was the second episode of Secret Invasion, and once again, I feel like, we had a really solid episode today, and it really does a great job just, continuing off of what we saw from the last episode, of course. So, there's a lot to digest, because, there's a lot of references from this episode. I'm just, trying to contain a lot of, my emotions, just because, I felt like this was definitely a lot of things to kind of handle in the moment. So I'm gonna try my best to get through everything and not miss anything. But yeah, so of course, the first thing that comes to mind is, of course, what really was the truth, and that is that not just only are the Skrulls residing on Earth, but the fact that Talos did something very kind of stupid, where he basically brought every surviving Skrull to Earth, and that in a sense makes it very dangerous, just because that makes it really difficult to kind of do that control, especially in terms of population control. So that was a pretty, I wouldn't say it's a big revelation, but it's definitely one that is very concerning, of course. So, and again, it explains a lot of things that we've seen before. For one thing, one of the agents that we met in WandaVision, the agents that we saw in Far From Home, and now again we're seeing kind of the consequence of what's all have happened. Now, having said that, I think the big thing to kind of consider is the fact that Gravik has his own personal vendetta against Nick. It's become very clear now. And it sounds as if this, again, going back to Nick's promise that he's yet to fulfill after almost 2 decades now, right? So I think by this point they're about 2 decades in, because I think they're in 2025. So it is exactly 2 decades for them, because Captain Marvel was 1995, so this would be 2025. So that's exactly 2 decades that their promises were not fulfilled. It's only been kind of a one-way deal, but it has been mutual. So this is what is basically kind of setting up the origin story of the villain Gravik. I think by setting that up, it's definitely given us far more detail about what's going on, the character dynamics, the motivations that we're getting out of the characters, whether it be the hero like Nick or Gravik, the villain, and that's really kind of starting to come into play. I think I have to really appreciate this. It's a show that, it may not be our typical superhero type of series, let alone just in the superhero genre. You have to appreciate the fact that they're really tuning in to bring all the details in. I think that's something that I feel I've been noticing a lot with the first 2 episodes, that they really kind of provide a lot of the details. So it's, there's a lot of dialogue, but it is dialogue that really gives you the essential information, what's going on. I feel like we haven't reached a point where anything that we've been hearing so far has been mundane or anything like that, or has been unnecessary. Everything has been sufficient information that is really setting up what is going on, giving us the idea, kind of filling the gaps of, okay, so we know this, we know that. Okay, now that we have this information, we can now process how this would fit in and what this could mean moving forward. And I think that, again, considering this is, again, a political thriller, it makes far more sense why we're getting so much of this, investigation, this detective-like sort of settings, because they are spies, right? They're gonna be people, they're gonna have the skill sets where they really need to kind of investigate what's going on around them and trying to put in the pieces together. And then as well as the fact that trying to figure out how they're going to, you know, be 2 steps ahead of their enemies, right? And so we've been seeing that, like, so far Gravik has been winning, of course. Like, he has really done the main task, and that has basically played out in a very big way. We're seeing how even Nick Fury is, you know, impacted by this. So he loses his job. He's now become quite, you know, public enemy number 1 because he was present at Moscow, and now he's a suspect. Even like Rhodey, just to see Rhodey kind of turn his back on Fury is quite, you know, shocking. But also at the same time, like, you know, what more can you do? I mean, I wonder what this would kind of imply for Armor War, because I know we're going to get that at some point. So that's going to actually be a movie and not a series as it was initially supposed to. It's going to be a movie now. So I wonder where that's going to go. Again, this is an episode we've been getting lots of references. There's been hints about War Machine. The fact that, you know, the one scene where Gaia like looks up on her computer to figure out what that scientist is doing, and seeing that we saw like Groot and Extremis and the Obedessian, like I was really just like, where did they get this? How did they even get in touch with all this material, right? Especially Groot, because I was just like, whoa, how did they get that? So clearly they have something that they're trying to build. They're trying to make something. What it is, we don't know. So I'm going to assume that that's going to kind of be the mystery going into the remaining episodes. We don't know when we're going to get the answer. We'll see about that. I have no idea what it could be, of course. But no, the fact that they need Extremis, they need Groot, they need the fact that they need an actual Asgard. I'm assuming that was Asgard, because just the name of it sounds like Asgard. I'm assuming it's an Asgardian item that they have in a position as well. Like, it's like, okay, what do they need all this for? Like, something they're, like, it seems as if they're trying to create an immortal being or something like that, that basically would, like, destroy Earth. I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe they're trying to, you know, produce something. I have no idea, but that's going to be the big question going into it. So yeah, one thing there's a couple other things I want to mention. So one other thing I want to mention is some of the sequences here. So now I will say this, I've noticed a pattern with this show. Like, the first half of the episode start off with all the dialogue, setting up, you know, the dynamics, setting up what's really going on around the characters and the, you know, the villains and the heroes, setting up this, you know, the next sort of problems that they're facing, and then using the dialogue again to give us the details. But then the second half is where we typically see far more of like the revelations or the action. So in this case, we did get a little bit of action in that one part where we go to like the Russian shop, I believe, the Russian meat shop, which I'm gonna talk about in a second. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a pattern going on. The first half is more so the dialogue, the second half is going to be more so kind of building up from what we've seen before and giving us something that's a bit in the more fast-paced sort of element. So, and not just that, right? I think this is this episode that has been maintaining its pacing. It's still a slow burn, without a doubt. Like, again, a lot of dialogue, a lot of things that they kind of have to cover in terms of the conversations and trying to get into the mindset of some of the characters that we're dealing with. But even that being the case, I feel like the slow burn has really allowed me to kind of invest myself, just to like hear the details, think about them, process them, like try to pinpoint any sort of important information that could imply not just what's going on with Skrulls, but what this could mean for the wider scope of what's going on in MCU, right? Of course, I mentioned the Avengers. I think we got like maybe 2 references to the Avengers in this episode, which is quite a lot. So the fact that they mentioned the Avengers a lot makes me assume that we might see an Avenger. I mean, technically speaking, Rhodey is an Avenger, but so we already seen him, but I'm assuming we may see more. The fact that they keep saying the Avengers, so we'll see. Like, I mean, I do have questions about whether or not we're going to see Carol at any point in the show, just because if there's anyone who is extremely important, someone who has such strong connections to everything that's going around, it's going to be Carol, because she's the only other person who is very well aware of the Skrulls and their history and basically what happened back in 1995. So, if there's anybody who I feel like has the best chance, it's going to be Carol at this point. But we'll see. We'll see if there's going to be any sort of cameos. I mean, as of this point, I appreciate that this is a show that isn't about the gimmicks, that isn't about the fan service. It's about the story. It's about setting up the subterfuge and setting up the spyware and the revenge, like the subtle revenge quest, and again, the high stakes of it all, and the fact that, you know, like, this is a show that really is deep into its whole espionage, political thriller theme. And I think that's something that I feel like I've truly been enjoying so far. I think it's definitely given a new taste of what we've seen so far in the MCU in ways that, you know, I never would have think that they would have experimented on. And yet it seems to really work in a show like this just because of the nature of it all. And in this case, it's working really great. Like, again, it may be a slow burn, but it's a slow burn that's really kind of developing a lot of things. Whereas, like, before, like, if we had other shows, like, because, like, with She-Hulk, right, there would be a lot of conversations, but it wouldn't just go anywhere, right? It's just kind of there. It doesn't really contribute to much. I feel like there was, like, a lot of those issues that we had throughout She-Hulk, and it's just kind of like, it kind of led to this boredom, right? They didn't really do anything, right? And here it's like, the more I hear the dialogue, the more I'm just like, oh my god, this could be important, right? So yeah, I have to say, so far, 2 for 2, like, that's great. Couple other things I want to mention is that, you know, this, I never realized, like, I knew this was going to be a slow burn. I did not realize how mature and violent the show was going to be. Especially in, like, the MC level. As it's not as if we haven't seen, you know, some pretty, you know, gnarly, violent stuff in, you know, any material that's coming from Disney, but this is one where I was a bit shocked with how they kind of were getting to the level where it kind of could be, like, not even just PG-13, but it could, like, almost reach R, because, like, in that one sequence where Gravik is trying to retrieve that, trying to rescue the captured Skrull that was at that meat shop, right? Like, the fact that, you know, there was a lot of blood, the fact that they shot a guy in the head and they literally showed the footage of that, I totally did not expect that, just because I'm like, this is Marvel. I did not expect the violence, although I personally don't have an issue with that. Like, I mean, I feel like it makes sense for a show like this, because because not only is it a political thriller, not only is it, you know, a far more, you know, a slow burn content, but I think given the nature of what the show is about and what the stakes are, it makes sense why it feels far more mature than other things that we've seen before. And so, like, again, that definitely threw me off a little bit, but just knowing that it's a bit more gorier, a bit more violent than we typically see in a Marvel setting is a very interesting thing. And I'm looking forward to seeing how else they're going to kind of play around with that, if that's going to be it. I feel like we're going to see more of it. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, let's be honest, I feel like that kind of takes away its kid-friendly viewing right there, because I would imagine a lot of parents are probably going to be furious about that, which, I mean, honestly, like, whatever. But it definitely feels far more mature content. I think having seen that one particular fight, I was like, whoa, this is quite intense. So I have to give that. I feel like that was something that really caught my attention as well. Lastly, let's talk about that last scene, that revelation at the end with Nick Fury and his relationship. So who would have thought that Nick Fury would be married, right? I'm assuming I believe he's been married for at least a good decade, because, like, he's known the Skrulls for a long time. And, you know, for him to have a marriage with a Skrull, it's just like, whoa. Who would have thought that, right? Like, if Tony Stark were to still be alive, he would not believe us if we told him that Nick Fury had a wife. He would think that we are absolutely crazy, that we're out of our minds, that we're just joking with him. He would not believe it whatsoever. But again, like, it makes sense. Like, I mean, we saw what he did with Bourne's family before, right? Even though he's supposed to be a spy. He even said himself, like even Barnes himself, and said that it was Nick who helped make the arrangement to keep them under the radar, right? So it seems as if he's done the same thing here with his own personal life, where he's kept his wife, hidden, which I would assume he would need to do just because of, anyone could use her as like basically as bait against him, use her against him in some form, some way to weaken him. And yeah, I mean, again, what's really weird is that, we've had the Winter Soldier, right? I don't think there was ever an implication that he ever had, somebody that was with him, or at least like someone that he was married or had any sort of partner, or romantic partner. Like, I don't think that was ever mentioned. So this is like truly like, wow, like we would have never suspected something like this ever. And so that was definitely a very interesting revelation. I wonder what that could mean. I mean, I guess I could imply that, with Fury, like when it comes to Skrulls, like he is trying all his best or whatnot. I mean, he is now dealing with two different orders and promises coming from the government, one coming from the Skrulls, and now he's kind of in the middle where he's just stuck, right? He doesn't know what to do, and we'll see how it all goes, right? He's definitely in the middle. He's definitely a big target going to the show now. And yeah, I mean, again, that revelation I would not have anticipated that. I mean, it took like what, a good 10, 11 years, maybe longer than that, because he first appeared in 2008. So 15 years for us to learn that he has a spouse, a partner like that. Who would have thought? Again, I mean, I wonder what else we're going to learn about Fury, but I think that it made sense that going into the show that we're going to see the personal side to Nick that we've never seen before. So not his professional, but his personal side. That makes a lot of sense. Even when he was talking to Rhodey and saying how that, they were talking about bringing the friends, so of course the Avengers, and saying that, no, let's not bring them in. This is my fault. I gotta deal with this. This is my ordeal that I gotta deal with. Like, this is what he's gonna do by himself. So he's like, they kind of like, if we weren't already clear before that this is going to be a show with Nick Fury and the people around him, and it's not gonna be the Avengers, I think they try to iterate that statement very clearly in this episode. So again, very solid episode. As I said before, I think again this one has definitely built up the hype even more, just again because of the references, without going too much into gimmicks, but making so that we understand how it's still part of the wider scope of the MCU. And even in this case, again, like it does give us like all these speculations about what could happen going forward. Like, again, he even said, like, imagine if one of the Skrulls had, touched, one of the Avengers and they'd done something really, dangerous, very havoc. It might deem them a terrorist just for something that they actually didn't do, but it was out of their control, right? Like, because of shapeshifter. So, yeah, no, this was very, informative episode. It really gave a lot more detail about what's going on with both the villain and Nick. Gravik, we get to learn more about him, understand who he is, what he does. We're starting to get this, very menacing, very threatening side. Each and every time we start to see more and more developments about him. We start to see, again, how he's pretty ominous, as well as being pretty frightening as a leader, knowing that, again, he's someone who's willing to go through extreme measures to be a tyrant basically and do what he needs to do. But we'll see how that goes as well. Like, will it be more so trying to save the people, or is it just for his own gain, right? Like, I mean, again, we got his origins right here. He's someone who's lost both his parents, so again, it definitely adds this complexity to the characters that we're dealing with. Complexities of Nick, and complexity of Gravik, the complexity of Talos, and complexity of Gaia. And like, again, I think this is a show that so far has been doing a pretty good job of setting up a lot of those details so far. And I think it's something that it's unusual, because again, whenever I think about Marvel content, I've never found their dialogue to be the most memorable. But I feel like this is where it's been very effective in setting up the development of everything that's going around. And again, hopefully it'll pay off as we get more and more into the show, as we have like 4 more episodes left, which is really insane. Because I think one of the issues I typically have with Disney Plus shows is that when it is like a 6-episode show, it's way too short. So, and given how the show is it's a slow burn, basically, that, you know, are they going to start speeding up to the point where it makes the whole pacing and the whole structure of it become inconsistent? So we'll see if, hopefully not. Like, maybe it is better that it was 6 episodes. So we'll see if that was a smart decision by the time we get to the finale. I mean, we still have 4 more episodes, so it's gonna be quite some time when we get to that. But again, I think this is, so far, the 2nd episode has been pretty consistent so far with what we've gotten so far. It's been pacing in a very well manner. Again, the details have been pretty informative. They've been educative. They've really given us an idea to really comprehend what's going on. The action is pretty great. I mean, it's very mature and very violent. I wouldn't say it's very violent, but it's far more violent than I would have anticipated. And then, of course, some of the revelations, some of the, you know, references. I mean, again, those are great to see. Like, that was just like, basically that Captain America, down the line, it's like, I understand that reference, right? So, yeah, definitely, again, another solid episode. I appreciate how things have been going on so far. I think the execution has been brilliant. Again, I don't understand how the critics were, you know, mixed about this. I think it's been doing well so far. So again, a very solid 2nd episode. And I'm pretty sure I was able to discuss everything I need to say. I think I tackled everything. So yeah, I think that's all to say about Secret Invasion episode 2. What are your thoughts about this episode? Do you think that is a very great follow-up to the 1st episode, the premiere episode? If so, what are some things you enjoyed about it? Some things you did like? What are some moments that shocked you a little bit? I know for me, the ending with Nick. Of course, some of the references. How do you think about them? What are your opinions about it? As well as kind of the dilemma that, you know, both Nick and Guy are dealing with, as well as what does this mean for Gravik moving forward? What do you think is going to happen moving forward? Do you have any theories that are kind of rising in your mind? What are some things that you expect, you know, it's going to happen in the next episode? Because I think that, again, there's going to be questions about what they're trying to create. So what are your thoughts about that? What are your predictions with what they're trying to produce in that laboratory? And let me know if you have any other thoughts about this episode. What did you like it? Did you like it? Are you in the mix about it? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe.